You been on my mind, running circles round this song. Riding my bike like I'm too young to drive. Careless and free like it's 2005. Had to chill the fuck out, take a trip outside. To have fun with my friends like I'm young and alive. Oh, oh, like I'm young and alive. Oh, oh, like I'm young and alive. Oh, like I'm young and alive. Oh, like I'm young and alive. Said I'd never fall, I'd never fall, I'd never fall, but then I fell for you. Back against the wall, against the wall, against the wall, that's how it felt with you. One weekend.
Hello,
Hey there.
how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I was digging the music that was playing.
Yeah, I was just
That's
hanging
awesome.
out in here by myself, so I needed some entertainment.
That's great.
Well, I hope that people show up, but last time we had like 12 people. I gotta close my door. My dog's trying to get in.
That's fine.
Hey. She doesn't like it when I close the door.
Well, we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
Trying to wrap my head around my new job.
Oh.
So yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, there's big things happening with our experiences. So
Cool.
yeah.
What is
it's all
your
gonna be-
job title?
It is program manager, business development, I think. That's
Okay.
what it is. So we're co-op's got some pretty audacious goals, and we're looking at how to expand into business to business opportunities for the experiences team. So I am leading the charge on figuring out what we're doing right now and how we can grow that business.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's a very daunting project. It'll be going on for quite a while.
I feel like imposter syndrome just never goes away.
Oh gosh, no.
It's really unfortunate that it never goes away.
That's average score.
Well, I think if nothing else,
That's really good.
it's one of those things where you know that everybody has got it.
Yeah.
I think I think that's become more obvious even the older I've gotten. I'm like, yep, nobody knows. And I'm in a fortunate position right now where I would say 90% of the team is new within the last 8 weeks to their current roles.
Oh,
So
that can be a good thing, but it also can make it really challenging, I bet.
yeah, we're at least all in it together. So
Yeah.
that's a cool thing.
I kind of have that same environment with the Winona Outdoor Collaborative. We're all sort of new to like what we're doing, and I feel especially new because I'm also new to the area, and I'm just like, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm the right person to be doing this sometimes, but I don't know.
You know, though, that having in what I guess what I would call an outsider perspective, or that kind of fresh pair of eyes, I think a lot of organizations really, really appreciate that if they're really intent on making change in the organization and continuing to be relevant, right?
For sure. Hey, Val.
I'm snacking and meeting at the same time.
I love it.
I'm
I
here
just had somebody
I just want to normalize life on Zoom. Like, can we all just eat and have dogs and babies and whatever? Like,
I am 100% on board with that. I had somebody tell me recently, they're like, Ruth, I'm so glad that you eat during our meetings. I'm like, if I don't eat during our meetings, it's not going to happen.
right.
So
That
this
sucks,
is
though.
life.
Oh, puppy!
Yay for dogs.
What is your dog's name?
His name is Bingo.
Bingo.
Love it.
Oh.
Jupiter is also here around here somewhere, but he's a little more camera shy.
You ever just say like, and Bingo, what's his name? Oh.
A lot of people do. A lot of people also call him like Beanbon from one of like the Pixar movies. But
I love it. People are like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my cat ran across the screen." I'm like, "No,
Like,
bring
Keep
them.
the cat there.
Please leave all the
Bring
animals."
Bring the kitty back.
Marina to the cat.
Oh.
Bingo. Good boy.
My
Good
dog
boy.
is like 98 pounds though, so I have to lock him out of the room. Otherwise, he will really be like, he's cute, but he's a lot.
Say hi to everybody.
Oh, what a cutie. So I'll probably wait until like 3 or 4 after before we actually get started, just in case there's some latecomers. But hi, Lisa. Hi, Brianna. How's life in Michigan and Wisconsin?
It's been good since we had 2 snow days this week.
Yeah, you guys got dumped on.
Yeah. It like just stopped snowing like around 2 today.
Do you know what the total was for inches?
I don't know what it was today, but I heard yesterday that we got 21 inches.
Woo! It makes me miss Marquette.
Wow.
Yeah, one of my friends sent me a Snapchat of her dogs walking out on the patio, and the snow was like higher than the bottom part of their body. But they're small dogs, so that's
I have a
exciting.
friend that lives up on the North Shore of Minnesota, and she never texted me last night. I think she said there was a foot last night, and it still hadn't stopped snowing yet.
I guess I should have gone up there this weekend instead of last weekend. Some fresh snowshoeing. Oh.
Yeah, I thought that stuff was going to hit last weekend because I was camping in the western part of the state, and I bailed out a day early thinking it was going to hit, and then it didn't.
Yeah.
So it's that dilemma of, do I leave or do I just the travel home? It wasn't the camping, it was just the driving home. I was like, oh, I wish I'd stayed. Dang it.
Yeah. Well, just double check. And Val, I'm guessing that Andrea's not joining us. Okay, she declined the meeting invite. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, get a late meeting last night.
Fair. All right, well, we could get started now, and then we're recording, so anybody who comes in late can just watch the beginning of the recording. So I'll do kind of a little intro. So today we have Ruth joining us. She is an REI employee, and she'll tell you a little bit more about that. I met her through a grassroots organization called Women Who Hike, and she leads group hikes for them. It's one of the ways that I've been able to connect with people in Minnesota is just by showing up to some of those. And it's a way that I was able to connect to people when I moved to Michigan too. So highly recommend group hikes. It is a great way to connect with people. And Ruth, I'll just let you take it away.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Ruth. I use the pronouns she, her. And I appreciate all of you taking the time to listen to me and my story. Felicia said, I am an REI employee, and I have just recently in the last 5 weeks changed roles with REI. I was working in one of the retail stores as a sales lead for the last year and a half after making a pretty major career change thanks to the pandemic. I came out of the travel and events world, and that completely imploded. So, and I've been doing it for 13 years. So yeah. So, moved into REI and got connected while I was in the store with the experiences team. So I'm in Minnesota, and there are 3 REI stores in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. The store that I worked in didn't have an experiences team, but our Bloomington store does. And I connected with that team. And it just so happened at the point that I was connecting with those folks to just kind of figure out, I didn't know if I was going to guide with, doing hiking events, or we partnered Women Who Hike. I'm also an ambassador for the state. So we partnered with the Bloomington team on an event for National Public Lands Day last fall. And at that time, I got wind that the experiences team for REI was going to be going under a major overhaul. So the experiences are all of the programs around education, taking people out on day trips like cycling or climbing or whatever else might be in a particular region. And then they also have multi-day programs. One of the things that REI did last year is they exited multi-day programs in other countries. So we weren't actually operating those, we were contracting with other groups to do that. And we are going through a complete, I landed a position with the experiences team, and the experiences team as a whole is going through a complete reevaluation. It's going to be a very, very large part of REI's business going forward. More so than it ever has been. So for all of you, that's also something to just consider if you're looking at ways to continue your involvement. REI partners with a lot of organizations here in the Twin Cities. They have partnered with Women Who Hike, Black Girls Who Run. We've got a number of different organizations that we partner with here in the Twin Cities. We're also heavily involved with the Lopet Foundation in the Twin Cities Lopet, which is a cross-country ski event every year in February. So those are just some of the things. REI also partners with the National Park Service. So I'm getting to learn my new job there. I've been in it for a whole 4 weeks. As I was saying to Felicia before we got started, I'm not completely sure what I'm doing yet. So we were talking about imposter syndrome being real. I have 13 years of project planning background, and I feel like I'm starting all over again at this point in my life. So that's pretty exciting. And then in addition to that, with Women Who Hike, I said I was one of the ambassadors for Minnesota. There's another woman and I that are co-ambassadors for the state. I started doing that about 2 years ago, closer to 3 now. And we started out with a small chapter of about 2,000 members at the end of 2020, and we have 20,000 members now in our group, and it is primarily operated through Facebook. So we have a closed Facebook group for women. There are chapters in every state. So if you're not in Minnesota, there are ones in other states as well. But ours is probably one of the most active right now. And Jen and I do things like we'll plan group hikes. We moderate the Facebook page, which is mostly my job, just accepting new members into that group. And then just adding expertise to that from our own experiences. So how did I get here? I think is another thing that we talked about might be interesting for all of you as well. I actually came to the outdoor world very late in life. I have a son who is now in college, and he was involved in scouting, and he decided that he was going to participate in a backcountry backpacking trip at Philmont Scout Ranch in New Mexico back in 2015. And as a joiner and a person who's willing to try things, I jumped on board and didn't know what I was signing up for. I'd never hiked, never backpacked, never spent that much time outside. And I fell in love with it. So in the interim, I've done things like getting wilderness first aid certified. I started during the pandemic also volunteering with the National Park Service. There's a stretch of national parkland that runs pretty much along the Mississippi and St. Croix River from the northern suburbs all the way down very close to where Felicia, where you live. That includes about 77 miles of national parkland along the river that's managed by the National Park Service. It just so happens that there's a very small chunk of it about 1.5 miles from my house. And with the pandemic, I was able to take some of the volunteering events that I'd done day of events with a prairie restoration that I actually found through REI. And started getting involved, and I'm now a crew leader with the prairie restoration crew at Coldwater Spring is the park. So it's a very small park that is bounded by about 5 other agencies, and we do invasive species removal, a lot of buckthorn. So but working with those folks to do that. And then I do other volunteer events with the Park Service as well as they need it. So those are the kind of things that are going on in my world. How I got involved in this, I just got interested because of the hiking and my experiences with scouting, and I'm still involved with that unit and have carried it so that it's really a meshing of my passions and my work life. So question, I'm going to stop talking for a minute and ask if there's any questions that y'all have.
I'm curious about REI's experience, program. I've heard a little bit about it before. Not to put you on the spot 4 weeks into your job. I'm curious if part of the expansion of that program will be kind of to reach more audience, more people. I've always looked at it and been like, cool, I want to do that. And then I look at the number and I'm like, I can't do that, So I'm wondering if there's going to be like more, attainable experiences or more, I don't know what the right way to ask that question is. Are you expanding the audience that you're reaching or doing more for the same audience?
Well, so REI has a very audacious goal to have 50 million members by 2030. We are at 50 million, 50,
yeah,
by 2030. So we are currently sitting, I want to say, in the 2 to 4 million range, I believe was the last number that I saw. Okay. So there's the experiences is going to play a heavy part in that expansion. But it's a part, and there's some things that I can't talk about because of where we're at in the process. But I think some of the things that you're going to see coming from the experiences team in particular are going to be opportunities, and we already have these partnerships. I mentioned how I got involved with the Park Service. So the REI here that has the experiences team, and it's the team is 3 people, which is also all of the day, it's partnerships, it's day programs. We don't run any multi-day trips yet. And we have to have all the equipment. And in some states, they have to have the permitting to be able to access some of the public lands. So we're going to be looking at growing that. And I think what you're kind of referencing is that partnership thing. And I said when I started getting involved with Coldwater Spring, REI was a sponsor of the National Public Lands Day event that they would do at the as part of the prairie restoration, and it was very specific. For about 5 years, it was planting all of the native species. So I can go to the plots and tell you exactly which plot, and probably pretty close to where I put plants in that plot. And now the volunteer group that I was able to get involved with when I was furloughed from my last job, that grew out of that. So I did that one event. There's an organization called Mississippi Park Connection. This is where all of these agencies that kind of get together and do the outreach together start playing in. Mississippi Park Connection partners with REI, but also partners with the Park Service to provide the volunteers for those events. So by doing the event with REI, I got on the Park Connections email list and then was able to volunteer annually for that, because that relationship with REI has always been there, but I think it was just that 1 year that they actually, you registered through REI to do that work. So I think you're going to be seeing more of those partnership opportunities, but it's also going to be, right now, it's what we call local experiences where, like I said, it would be something where you as an individual could go into the REI store and you would sign up, not go into a store, but you would sign up for, I don't know, we have one here that's a bike or a snowshoe, and then you go to a local brewery that's really close to where they're going to go snowshoe. And there's a fee for it because they're bringing the equipment and they're going to have guides. So those programs are probably going to expand more. I know that REI is looking at their actual locations. So one of the things that just happened recently out on the West Coast is we opened up a point of presence in Snoqualmie Pass for the winter season, where folks can rent snowshoes there. So instead of having to go to the store, they just show up at the trailhead, and there's a REI presence there where they can rent the snowshoes on site. And I think we're probably going to see more of those sorts of things too. So there's a lot of things that REI is going to be doing. It could be partnering, for instance, with the North Country Trail Association to have equipment at a trailhead or a presence at a trailhead with guides that can help. So there's a lot of different things that we're exploring right now. What that's going to ultimately look like is yet to be determined. So did that get to the answer the question that you were asking? And maybe
yeah. You know, I think that I thought that REI experiences were like the big vacations you could like sign up and take, and I didn't realize
that's part of it. That's part of it.
I didn't realize the full breadth of the program. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think we've been looking, you know, from NCTA's perspective, you know, we partner with REI at a national level, and then also locally across the entirety of the trail. And I know that program has shifted a lot in the past couple of years, what it looks like locally. So it's cool to think about this other avenue to kind of partner locally.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, part of the work that's going on right now. I know there's one region I just talked to today where they've got a very small team of 3 people, and we're in this place right now where we have the work, we have the people there to do the work that we are doing right now. But we're also doing this very deep exploration of what things will be in the future. And like I said, those partnership opportunities, it's going to be really interesting to see as we start staffing for it. I think if that's something, you know, that's another thing to be aware of for this group is, I have not been able to keep up with the number of opportunities that there are in the experiences team that are starting to pop up, and they're going to pop up nationally, and then they're also going to pop up locally, whether that's guides for activities, or if it's going to be more on that operational and partnership level. So
Yeah.
like I said, I talked to one region, they're hiring 20 people in the next 3 weeks. So it's all coming.
Wouldn't be so bad to get paid to take someone hiking.
No, not at all. Not at all. And the interesting thing about REI's model in particular is that all of our guides who, you know, when you see that position that we're hiring for, they're either permanent part-time or permanent full-time positions, depending on the particular region and what the need is. I would expect to see that that's probably only going to grow. We don't do contract guides. It's not part of the model. So that means that for all of those folks, because they're REI employees, there's also benefits attached to it, which is another really good thing.
Do you know, is Women Who Hike going to start hosting like official events, or is it just all going to be like the Facebook type events?
I think for right now, I don't know for sure. I know Jen and I are going to have a call with Nicole, who's the Women Who Hike founder. When the pandemic hit, the decision was made across the board to pull back from all of those events that were official. So like the ones that you would register for, there were liability concerns around that. And then I think the other thing that, you know, I'm assuming that all of you are starting to kind of or aware of is that in Women Who Hike, it's Nicole and another woman who are the headquarters team. So in the interim, Nicole has had some pretty major life changes, as has her counterpart. And then quite frankly, the ambassador team has had some pretty heavy attrition as well. Some of the ambassadors had kids, some of them, you know, took a different direction, some of them have moved. So I think we're at a point where there's going to be a little bit more focus and moving back towards that. I don't know that we'll be doing the registration in the way that we were before. Part of that, it felt like it was, I think one of Nicole's thoughts and the whole change in how things are happening with Women Who Hike is being much more inclusive. Like there used to be a membership. You pay $10, you're a member of Women Who Hike, you get a really cute patch, which I'm really bummed that we don't have anymore. I have one and it's looking really sad. But I have people ask me regularly, like, how can I get one? So, you know, I'm hoping that that'll come back. But Nicole's thought, particularly around some of the events of the last couple of years that have really brought into light inclusion. And we've done some ready work as well, is that by charging a membership and making those events limited in the number of people that can participate, it's kind of going against that. So I think, Felicia, to answer your question, I think it's probably still going to be the Facebook group for a while before that really opens up again.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to talk to us today.
Absolutely. And I'll drop my email in the chat, and you know, you can definitely reach out to me at any time. I'm going to drop my personal one in there rather than the REI one. And
Ruth has a blog too, which I linked to the calendar invite, but I think I might have linked that to the reminder as well, the reminder email with her bio in it. But
drop that in there too.
Yeah.
And I am on Instagram and Facebook. So, and the Women Who Hike group, if you're interested in your state, just pop in there, fill out the request, and someone will get back to, get you in. All right.
Cool.
Thank you all. Have a great evening. And thank you for all the work you're doing.
Very cool. Thank you.